Oh, by the way, so I am no longer fighting with Phil Hellmuth. Oh my God, guys.
I'm still blocked.
No, so I was so mad at him. Okay, so I finished this transaction.
Phil Hellmuth. This is
I finished the fucking transaction to sell the Warriors. This is a 6-month ordeal. Okay, I started in November, right? I'm starting to sell things. I decide I'm going to sell the Warriors. I sell it to a large private equity fund in November, December, and then we had to wait for them to close the second fund, and then we sold the rest of it, and it closed in June or July. And then I put out this tweet, right? Like thanking everybody and thanking Hellmuth in the same line in which I'm like, I thank Peter Thiel and I thank Joe Lacob. Everybody is happy except for Hellmuth, who calls me and is angry. And he's like, he had this issue with how it was characterized that how he had introduced me or something, where he wanted credit for having done the deal. Was it in the first tweet of
the tweet storm? He should have been higher up.
And then I was like, well, Phil, what if it hadn't made me money? Would you have just made me whole? Like, what would you have done? Like, it's like you were like the architect of this thing. Anyways, I was so mad. I just said, I'm not talking to this dipshit anymore. I'm done with him. I'm done. I'm breaking up with him. And he would call me when I was in Europe and I would ignore, and I would get this incredible enjoyment from just pressing
to voicemail?
He would send me text messages, ignore. And then I mean, this is always happens this way. I did it once and Nat caught me. She's like, why did you ignore his phone call? And I said, I hate Phil. I'm done with Hellmuth. I told her the story. She got so fucking mad at me. And then I had to send this text. I'll just read you the text because I think it's just so fucking hilarious. I was going to ignore you for the rest of my life based on your tantrum with me earlier this year. But Nat has convinced me to see where you are coming from in part. Oh. Anyways, we're good. Call me later. He called me 1 second later.
He was waiting. He had your text window open. I can just picture Nat. Mi amore, he's your friend. Why do you gotta be? You're such a jerk. He's your friend. You have no friends. All of your friends are going away.
Fucking Muth. Anyways, I'm back in the good with Muth. I'm back in the good.
Okay, well, you got to play poker.
We do need to get a poker game.
Before we wrap, Sacks is going to give us, instead of doing Science Corner,
we're going to do
Mar-a-Lago Corner.
Oh, tell us what it's like, Sacks.
Yeah, what is Mar-a-Lago like? You've had your membership now for 18 months?
Never been there. But no, so I wanted to give a shout out to this article, because last week I took some heat because somehow I guess you're not allowed to question anymore the rectitude of the FBI. J. Edgar Hoover's FBI, we're not allowed to question anymore, or a lot of people feel that way. There was an article that came out in Real Clear Investigations just, I think, yesterday. And what it exposed is pretty amazing. The unit within the FBI that conducted the raid on Mar-a-Lago is the same group that conducted the investigation into Trump back in 2016, that lied to the FISA court, that had its members, its leaders, Peter Strzok, were fired for basically wrongdoing, whose members are actually under investigation right now by the special counsel, John Durham. And you've got people who are on probation right now. So this is the same unit that basically conducted the raid on Mar-a-Lago. So I think there's still more to come out about this, but it's just amazing to me, actually, that Christopher Wray, the head of the FBI, and Merrick Garland, the head of the DOJ, thought that this wouldn't create the appearance of a conflict of interest or impropriety. The fact that you've got the same unit that previously was disciplined for wrongdoing in an investigation of Trump is the one conducting the raid on Mar-a-Lago. So pretty amazing.
J-Cal, retort?
I'm sorry, what we're talking about? I'll tell you.
So brutal.
No, I just want to make. I have a response.
A couple of child actors.
Oh, look at these props!
They're on camera right now.
Look at these props!
Very
amazing.
Props. Good work. Nice props.
Beautiful. Sacks, what you're seeing there. Hold on, Sacks. Before you get back to Trump, what you're seeing there is a family unit. This is when a family gets together and expresses love towards each other. But continue about Mar-a-Lago.
No, that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
That's wonderful. You could take a picture of this and you could send it to your friends on Christmas.
All right, Jason, you do not accept the Real Clear Investigation report that maybe there was some long-term.
No. I have actually some feedback. It's nothing to do with Sacks. I just think a lot of times I get positioned as, sometimes when I'm moderating, I like to challenge Sacks. Last week I chose to stay out of it. I let him go. And I think one of the reasons people didn't like your comments last week, Sacks, was other than, J. Edgar Hoover being dead for 50 years, putting that aside and it being irrelevant, I think the reason people didn't like it was because I didn't come back at you and question some of the things you were saying. And so I think they felt it was an unbalanced discussion. They expect me to do that, but I don't want to be pinned as the adversary to Sacks' positions in every case, because I'm an independent, I'm a moderate. I voted Republican, I voted Democrat my whole life. I've voted for both of those parties. But I do think that what's happening here is, Trump is under 5 different investigations. He's got a career of doing disgraceful, criminal, fraudulent things. And I feel very bad for GOP friends. I feel bad for Republicans because they have to carry water for him. And they put themselves in this really difficult position of defending him. And, we've talked on this podcast about January 6th. We talked about voter fraud. My good friend, one of my besties, David Sacks, said he doesn't believe that there was election fraud, and he thought January 6th was disgusting. I'm not speaking for you. That's what you said. And so I think, the fact that the Republicans feel the need to defend him constantly is one of the big problems here. And I think on the other side, the fact that the media is forcing Republicans to defend him and creating this narrative and this hysterics like, oh my God, it's the Espionage Act. He's doing espionage. This might be very simple. Trump lied, cheated, stole his whole career from Trump University to what's happening with, the Trump Corporation now, with his CFO and his nonprofit. His life is a history of grifts and crimes and unethical behavior. What the GOP needs to do is stop defending him and just let him go off into the sunset, as Sacks pointed out last week. And that's what this podcast needs to do. Because there's no reason for me to sit here and do the left-wing talking points or for, Sacks to do the right-wing talking points. The fact is, first principles, Trump's a grifter. He's a Democrat who duped the GOP. That's it.
My point is not to defend every shady deal that Trump's ever done or even to defend Trump at all. My interest is having a DOJ and FBI that's not politicized and is not used as a political weapon or to pursue political targeting or vendettas. And the reality is, at some point, we're going to move past Trump as a country. But the precedents that are created now are going to stick with us for a long time. And the reality is, we should not have an FBI and a unit within the FBI that is pursuing these political vendettas. And in this article by Real Clear Politics, the amazing thing is Christopher Wray prohibited this unit from seeking warrants from the FISA court. So he knew there was enough misbehavior last time to basically prohibit them. But it seems to me that's a very narrow takeaway. It seems to me that the takeaway should be we don't allow this unit to pursue Trump again because they committed so much wrongdoing.
Yeah, it would be cleaner to have a clean unit, right? Yeah.
Why wouldn't they do that?
Yeah, it makes sense. If it's true, because that is from a biased source, and if it is true, then it would be good.
I mean, Real Clear Politics is kind of like a Politico.
Look, guys, this has been a lot of fun.